everybody, it's Christopher Nejman. I want to give you a little tip about strip piecing when you're doing quilt topping. Now, taking a tip from industrial sewing, which I learned and trained from Margaret Islander, because she learned and trained from the factories in Los Angeles, and this is standard in the whole industry. I'm going to sew this strip, and when I'm done with it, it will come out even at the bottom. So the way we start when you're doing stripping, I always encourage you to start about 1/4 of an inch in from the beginning of the fabric. Now, not only is this going to help prevent the fabric layers from shifting, but it's also going to prevent you from, when you're trying to start on thin fabric, of it getting caught up in there. Like so many people write and say, my fabric's getting caught in the feed dogs. So on my machine, I just hold my little reverse lever and it goes backwards. Okay, and then I'm going to come forward. Now the way I'm going to hold the fabric, I'm not going to hold it like this. I'm going to hold it like this, like they teach us in industrial sewing. Let me see if I can back this camera up a little bit more for you. Okay, I'm going to hold it like this. They teach us. You hold the fabric, the thumb underneath the bottom, and then your other fingers on top, and you're going to go forward when you sew. So I'm going to try to do this without, so the camera can see. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to hold the fabric here like this, and I'm going to sew. And I am using 1/4 of an inch foot. Now stop with your needle down, make sure that your ends down here are even. Then hold that fabric again, and when you get to the end, you're not going to have much you can hang on to. So when you get here, you're going to make sure those ends are together, right here. Make sure they match, and then put pressure on the finger here as you're sewing. I'm going to go down, and then I'm going to back up. I'm going to cut my thread. And as you can see on this fine fabric, I didn't have any problems with it getting bunched up. I'm going to show you from this angle now. Okay, so I've got 2 new pieces of fabric here. And they are both cut the same length. And I want to make sure when I sew these that they come out even at the end. Okay? So as I was saying earlier, you're going to start by matching your fabric at the top. And then you're going to start in on the fabric about 1/4 of an inch from the end. Okay, you start about 1/4 of an inch in from the end. See that? So put that 1/4 of an inch in from the end, and then you're going to back stitch until you come right to the end and maybe 1 stitch over. All right. Then we're going to come forward. Now, a lot of people say they like to sew where they just feed 2 strips after another and let it catch in there. What happens is this fabric is shifting on you. It's going to shift on you. And when it shifts on you, it's not going to come out even. Now when we hold our fabric, we're going to hold it like this. Our thumb is going to be under the fabric, and our forehand here is going to be going forward like this. We don't go like this because that's not going to do anything. Okay? Now, as I said, this is taken from industrial sewing. Okay? And this is what Margaret Islander was teaching home sewers since the early 90s. And those DVDs were those videos back then were in the back of sewing magazines, and now they're on DVD. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in. All right, see now, once I get started there. So before, what I was saying was when people want to feed in this way, not only will it shift the top layer forward and come out uneven at the end, but a lot of people will get that fine fabric stuck and jammed inside the inside the feed dogs, which causes a jam. And then they get frustrated. I see them talking about that all the time on the sewing groups because they're newbies, and this is how they were taught by somebody at the sewing store. So the way I'm teaching you, again, is the industrial way. As you can see, my fabric did not get bunched up. This very thin fabric did not get bunched up in there. Now I'm going to hold my fabric just like this. I am using 1/4 of an inch foot with a guide. And then I'm going to come down to the end here. Make sure it matches at the end. Hold that fabric like this. And when you hold the fabric, you're pinching it as if you're using pins, but you're not using pins. There's no need to use pins. Now I got the fabric here, I'm holding at the end. Now when it comes to the end here, I'm going to put pressure on the fabric. I'm going to put pressure on this fabric as it's feeding through. There we go. Now, I'm going to go backwards. And then we come forward. And we cut my thread. Now when I take it out, you can see it's perfectly even at the end here and perfectly even at the top. So then when I go and I iron this open, it's perfectly even. Even there and even there. Okay, I hope this tip helps you, everyone. Take care, have a good day. See you next time.